Hi everyone, welcome to today's SCLS podcast series where we engage with industry leaders to explore transformative trends, challenges, and innovations in the supply chain and logistics sectors. I'm your host Shweta, and today we are excited to have Peter with us. Peter is the CEO of Adverb Technologies, one of our exhibitors showcasing cutting-edge technologies like sortation robots, autonomous mobile robots, and advanced shuttles designed to revolutionize warehouse operations. Before we dive into today's discussion, Peter, could you give us a short introduction about yourself that I have not included in this?
Yes, like you said, thanks for having me, by the way. Like you said, I'm the CEO for Adverb in Europe, Middle East, Africa. So we have our headquarters in the Netherlands, and then we have subsidiaries in different countries, amongst one of them being in Dubai, in the UAE. And my background, I have always been in warehouse automation since I graduated as a mechanical engineer from school. In different parts of the world, actually in Australia, different countries in Europe, in the US, and now back in my home country because I'm originally from the Netherlands. So that's where I'm based now today again.
I see.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Let's get into it. Adverb has been at the forefront of warehouse automation, right? From
Mhm.
your perspective, what would you say the key trends are in shaping warehouse automation? Like, what would be three, if you were to pick three important trends, what would it?
Yeah, it depends a bit on how far out you look, but I would say if you look today at what's going on in the world of IT specifically, I think then the main development I would expect to come from AI is the first one. So AI, of course, it's everywhere. You and I probably also use ChatGPT, etc. So I mean, obvious, and there are more and more interactions that we see on AI, but it also will start influencing more and more on the warehouse automation side. So a few examples, if you take the returns handling for e-com, that's a lot of labor nowadays. Check actually how the clothing or whatever you send back is still useful or needs repairs or can be scrapped. I think there already with vision recognition, etc., we will see a lot of developments coming on the AI. Then on the pure warehousing side as well, let's say doing forecasting, demand planning, all that kind of things will help, let's say, interact with the systems we have, then help the customers to do better forecasting and also know how much stock they need to keep. And then there's another area on AI, which actually also then goes into the material handling world, is, for example, in humanoid robotics. As you may have read, also Adverb is stepping into that as well. And in that area, AI will be very important because actually, I mean, yes, you need to have the humanoid itself with all the let's say, with all the moving parts and the drives and so all the mechanical, electrical stuff. But then the main thing then is that humanoid robot will also start learning whatever task he's doing. And that's where AI will come in a lot as well. So AI is for sure one, let's say, thing that will play an amazing role in the coming years. A bit linked to that is as well is this human-robot collaborations. Everything that is on the, let's say, on the edge of human and robots, which can be robots, so the one-arm type robot which interacts with people. It can also be AMRs, let's say, that interact with people, and it can also be humanoids, like we already said as well. So on that whole front, I expect a lot of developments as well. So I would say that's probably the top two. Let's say human-robot collaboration, which is also our tagline, by the way, so that fits well. But and then the AI part as well. I think that would be the two key drivers, let's say, in the next few years. If you then a bit down to earth, let's say, okay, what kind of technologies in warehousing is trending at the moment? Then I would say, from our perspective, what you see is a lot of development on the pallet warehousing side, where you see more and more four-way shuttles coming up. Let's say instead of the stacker cranes or other shuttles we had in the past.
More innovative.
Yeah, so that's, let's say, more. They're more going also a bit more to the AMR front because actually they are loose. They're not on a cable connected, so they are shuttles that can travel through a warehouse like an AMR can do as well. So you need similar technology also for fleet management, software to control it, optimize it, etc. So let's say on a more practical front, I see a lot of development on that area.
Where does Adverb stands in all of this development?
If you see on the A, I mean, that is all that depending on, first of all, software, of course. A large group of our people in India are software based. and that's also the fastest growing group. At the same time, you need to be on the forefront of the computer hardware, so the CPUs, etc. So, I mean, everybody knows NVIDIA and so, and the stock price that's going on. So we are doing a lot of, let's say, cooperations with Intel, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, so the main CPU providers, because if you want to be at the forefront of software, actually you also need to know the forefront of the computer hardware or the CPU hardware. So we cannot wait till a PLC guy from Siemens and so gets that to market, because then it's already 5-6 years on the development. So we need really be at the front. And that's what we do as well. So on the AI side, we are really at the front as well. We also, let's say, did together with our parent company, Reliance, a session with NVIDIA in India. I think it was last month even. Where
Maybe
also
across the picture that you posted on there.
yeah, exactly. So also there, the CEO of NVIDIA even mentioned Adverb's name as well, being, let's say, one that makes it more actionable. So then you're really not in the ChatGPT world, but then you're really on the material handling world,
Yeah.
AMR,
You
quadrupeds.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that side, AI, we are at the front already. So that's where we are doing a lot. I mentioned humanoids and AMRs. So AMRs, of course, we already have done since the beginning, more or less, mobile robots. We also then introduced last year our quadruped. So let's say the first step towards the humanoid, I would almost say. And then now, let's say last month, we also announced that we will, let's say, are working currently on a humanoid robot, which we hope to have some more news in this year as well.
Humanoid robot. Okay.
And then, of course, on what I mentioned on the practical side, let's say things like four-way shuttle systems. That's a part which we already introduced to the market early last year. We are now doing our first projects. And that I expect a lot more projects coming this year. So these kind of technologies, the older technology we have still as well, but actually that new development we are using ourselves as well. Yep.
Understand? Initially, you said AI is everywhere, especially with ChatGPT and all that, right? As someone who's leading the global expansion, how do you create a balance between innovation and also making sure the authenticity is there?
I mean, you have to do both. So you have to still, I mean, it's not all about only AI. So I mean, there are still things where you need to do practical conveyors, cranes. So you should not forget what's already there, but you should start thinking about, hey, what could AI or mobile robots add to that perspective? So it will not be that everything is history is all gone and everything is new. But I think the future, let's say, the future developments will influence more. So you will actually get more out of the existing technology than you can perhaps do today.
Understand? What would you say to companies that are not ready to integrate AI into their system or their software?
I think you have to start thinking about it, because I mean, just talk to your kids, etc. What they are using today already. You should at least be aware. It does not mean that you always have to use AI and all kind of things, but you should at least have that awareness. I don't also do not pretend that I know everything about AI, but you have to start. You have to keep learning. Also, as a leader, you have to keep learning and studying and knowing what's out there. That you can judge, is this useful for me now, or perhaps I wait for a few more years and then start talking about it. But certain simple things, that an AI tool making notes of your minutes of meeting, can save you a lot of time. I mean, that's a simple example, but you have to understand that these technologies are there, and then judge for yourself, am I going to make use of it or not?
Understand? Okay, you were saying earlier that you visited the India office, right? What was one of your most key highlight moment of being there?
To visit India.
Yeah.
Actually, I love going there, because every time I go there, I see something new. And I give you an example. I normally go there with customers, and we are very transparent in showing. We open all the doors normally for our customers. So, and we open then also doors for new developments. So I normally go there, I would say more or less every second month or so, mostly with customers. And then we always do a tour. We have two facilities, Bot Valley, which is our headquarter, and Bot Verse, which is our new production facility. And in Bot Valley is where now mainly our R&D is as well. So the most new developments you will see in that facility. And as you open the door, I mean, I know that I went there last year and saw this quadruped for the first time. Or actually, we do now a bit less known, but we also do robots for cobots for healthcare applications.
Okay.
So healthcare applications. So, for example, a cobot that you can have on your arm to do rehab exercises, or a cobot that we are sending to remote healthcare facilities, which can do an ultrasound with a doctor that's not physically there, but perhaps sitting in Delhi, and then operates the ultrasound far away. So these kind of things, they're not always only on warehouse automation side, but you can see that we are, let's say, those developments are also flowing into warehouse. But you see, these kind of new developments is always exciting to see. Besides all the people that are working then with it, and the average age is very young
Mm-hmm.
in our in India. So there's a lot of new people with new views, new ideas,
Yeah, so how
new
has that been? Like being a CEO in being a leader, like how do you navigate through challenges like this? Like how do I say, you tackle with different mindsets, different views?
That's a good question. I mean, it's a very broad question as well because it's not only about young and old.
Yes.
Yeah, I take the average age up a bit in Antwerp because the average age I think is 27 or so in our company. I'm a bit old, and but there's also different cultures. So if you take an Indian culture versus an European culture, it's different as well. As a leader, at least, you have to understand the differences and also then learn how to navigate those. So I always give the example to people. There's a book called The Culture Map. I don't know whether you know it. It's from Aaron Meyer. It's one of my key highlights always to read because specifically if you go to a new country or deal with a customer in a new country, it's very good to understand how people think and how people tick.
Learning their culture, right?
Exactly. So that part is extremely important. And if I start a new role as well, the other book I always use actually is the First 90 Days from Michael Watt. So those two books actually, if I start a new exercise, if it's a new role or at a new company or a new country, those two books are for me, let's say, a guide there. So that helps already in thinking culture. And then, of course, you have to make sure that you talk and communicate enough with, let's say, the different age groups and the different, all kind of different groups we have in
To
our
just learn
company.
how their mind works. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and get different perspectives as well. And also the input that you may not see, but another, let's say, younger person could see.
Understand. With AI and automation and all that, how do you see the job market in this industry for the next 10 years?
In this industry of warehouse automation or the people in the warehouse?
People in the warehouse.
Things will change. Like in all automation, since years and years, people are then afraid that the people may lose their job, etc. And it will be that certain jobs will, let's say, disappear, but other jobs will always arise as well. And at the moment you see actually, specifically in Europe, is that we don't have people, and our demographics are evolving, and actually we are getting older. So we don't even have today the people to do the jobs there are today. So certain jobs that are pure, repetitive, easy to automate will be the first one to be automated.
Yeah.
But it means others are still open there because we still don't have people to fill those. Yes, I'm not so. Things will change. So if you are afraid of change, that it may be a bit, let's say, disturbing. But on the other hand, I'm not afraid that a lot of people will be without
Yeah.
jobs. There may be different jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time to pick up a skill or two.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, if you have the ability, be open for new technology, and because warehouses as well will need people that, let's say, work with these automated facilities and can also optimize them. So if you are a bit, let's say, keen on that, mainly younger people perhaps, but also older, if you're open to that, then of course you can have a much nicer job.
Understand? Okay. What's next for you? What would you say, like how are you looking forward to yourself?
I mean, for us as a company,
Yes.
of course, we are still, yeah. So for us as a company, and specifically in Europe, Middle East, we are still, let's say, a smaller company compared to, let's say, the established players where I was working for in the past as well. That's also why we are, let's say, I mean, also in Europe, we were growing still quite a bit last year, despite that the fact that the market itself was relatively flat. We expect the market to increase again in 2025. But we were growing because we are starting from a smaller scale. For us, it will be a matter of, let's say, focusing on the right market segments because there are so many opportunities to go after. I mean, we are now talking for Middle East as well, and there's a lot of attention, let's say, for automation. So we have to focus on those areas where we think we can add most value. But I'm looking forward to, let's say, quite big growth opportunities and quite a lot of new technology development as well.
Do you see Adverb expanding to other region? Like, do you guys?
I mean, we are more or less everywhere now. So, I mean, yes, we started in India. Then the first country we moved into was Southeast Asia. And then we moved into Australia. So we have a setup in Australia covering Australia, New Zealand. And then 2.5 years ago or so, 3 years now, We started in Europe, for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and in the Americas. So we have a setup in the US, mainly covering US, Canada, and South America as well. I think we covered most geographies so far. I mean, the next thing for me could be to think, hey, what's going to happen in Africa? Because yes, officially we are EMEA, so including Africa. Uh, we have no, let's say, no projects or so there yet. So that is something to think about next year.
All right. I think that's about it. Do you have any one or two sentence to add on, a takeaway for our audience?
No, I think, like I said, in that space of warehouse automation since '87, so almost.
Wow, that's a very long time.
And I'm still excited about it. It's a good market to be in, and a lot of developments going on as well. So, yeah, I think it's a fun place to work.
So
And that
it's
I try to
never
rate.
bored. It's never dull. You constantly get innovation.
Depends a bit on yourself as well. I mean, you need to be curious and open. So sometimes people ask me, how have you come to the position you're in? And actually, I normally say, hey, you have to be open, curious, and flexible. So, I mean, I moved in 2005 with my whole family to Australia, for example, the other part of the world. 3 years later, we moved to England. I've been in all kind of other countries as well, in all kind of different roles as well. So sometimes a sidestep to learn something new, sometimes career up. Or so if you're open to that and curious to that, then it remains exciting, and you can always do something new and learn something new.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights and for having this talk with us today.
Thank you.
That's about it. Thank you guys for tuning in to our podcast series today. For more conversations, please do visit us on the 4th and 5th February at Movenpick, Augustan.
Hope to see you there.
See you there.
And that would be all for today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for more exciting episodes featuring industry leaders from around the globe. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.